Hi everybody, welcome to another edition of Around New Britain with Mayor Stewart, a show that updates you on the issues facing the city of New Britain. A big thank you goes out to Nutmeg Television for the opportunity and the technical assistance in bringing you this program, and of course, a thank you to Dave behind the camera. If you happen to miss this episode on TV, or if you live outside of Nutmeg TV's viewing area, you can visit YouTube for a complete video archive of Around New Britain with Mayor Stewart. Over the last 3 years, as you all know, I've made a commitment to making government more transparent and accessible to the people that we serve. This show is just another step in opening government to everybody in our community, and those outside of it as well. I want you to know that my office is always open to you, especially to the people who are seeking solutions to the problems that may face them daily. I might not be able to solve everything, but I can certainly point you in the right direction to get the answers to the questions that you have. My office does this through many avenues, whether it's by email, by phone, through Twitter, Facebook, or our city website at newbritainct.gov. Great and incredible things are happening in the city of New Britain, from developments large and small to beautification projects, community events, and more. There is lots to share, and I hope that the guests that I have on this show provide you with a perspective into our great city that you certainly can't get anywhere else. So I want to get started with our first segment for today, titled What's Happening in City Hall. The Common Council meetings for the month of May will be held on Wednesday, May 11th and Wednesday, May 25th. As you know, public participation starts at 7 p.m. in room 201 of City Hall, that's on the second floor. You can register to speak before the meeting. Public participation goes from 7 to usually about 7:30, and we start the council meeting promptly at 7:30, unless of course participation runs over with. We'll have a complete and expanded list of all of the commission meetings and all the other meetings happening in City Hall that will run on a scroll at the end of this program, so make sure you watch to the end. On Tuesday, May 3rd, is going to be an exciting day. We're going to host a ribbon cutting, which is starting at 11:30 a.m. So 11:30 a.m. for a very exciting ribbon cutting of our brand new Central Park. Be sure to bring your lunch. We'll have tables set up for you to join me out there, or you'll be able to stop by and visit one of the food trucks that we'll have parked outside of Central Park. We're going to have lots to share and lots to offer that day. With our New Britain Arts Commission will be present. There'll be lots of booths and fun. 11:30 to 1, so come out on your lunch break and spend it with us in our brand new park. Our public works crews are out street sweeping and filling potholes. It's about that time this spring, so if you have a pothole to report, I want to encourage you to please give us a call. Call us at 826-3350, or you can visit the website, newbritainct.gov, and click all the way to the bottom onto Report an Issue. Sometimes we just can't simply know about all of the issues that we're having, whether it's potholes or streets or gutters that, the gutters in the ground that need to be cleaned up. We don't know unless you share it with us. Although our crews are out there driving around, we still need your help to keep our city nice and clean. With work having wrapped up in Central Park as part of Phase 3 of the Complete Streets Master Plan, workers over the next several months are going to get started on Phase 4. So this means still traffic delays and still lots of excitement going on in the downtown area. This project will include installing those brick pavers and redoing the sidewalks now from Main Street to Columbus Boulevard, and from Main Street all the way up West Main up to High Street. So the brickwork is also going to be continued eventually down Chestnut Street all the way to Elm. Designs for Phase 4 of the Complete Streets Master Plan, which include improvements to Bank Street and Columbus Boulevard, are also being finalized at this point. That work won't start until probably next year. Our spring leaf pickup ended on April 29th, but if you still have leaves that you have to get rid of, you can bring them and visit our recycling facility located on Christian Lane. It's open Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. until 2:15 p.m. and on Saturdays it's open from 7 a.m. until 11:45 a.m. And I want to please note, during the month of May, City Hall and our schools will be closed. City Hall and our schools will be closed on Memorial Day, May 30th. So spring has arrived here at City Hall, and that means that we are in the midst of everybody's favorite budget season. So on today's show, I would like to introduce to all of the viewers out there our city's new Finance Director, Lori Granato. Lori was brought on board in January and has done an amazing job in a short amount of time. She has proven to be a strong leader and has brought a very high level of oversight to our finance department, helping to put our city on a path to a stronger financial future. One of her most notable accomplishments in her extensive career in finance, was her appointment by former Governor Lowell Weicker to head a special state panel that was responsible for improving the fiscal integrity of West Haven during the 1990s when that city was filing for bankruptcy. So Lori brings a significant amount of state and municipal finance knowledge to the city of New Britain, and I am very glad to welcome her with us today. So Lori, thanks for being on the show.
No, I'm happy to be here.
Well, thank you very much with that grand entrance that I just gave you.
Yes, thank you very much.
No problem. It was definitely a long process to try to hire a new finance director for the city, but a job that we know and that you know has certainly proved to be extremely important, given the financial condition that we're in. But I think maybe the people watching might want to know a little bit about you, who are you, where do you live, I don't know.
Sure.
Things about you. Do you have kids? I don't know. This is what our viewers want to see.
Well, it's not that very interesting, but I do live in Hebron, which is about 45 minutes from here, a nice little rural, quiet community. I do have one son, his name is Michael, and he's at UConn, which is why I am still in Hebron and not living anyplace else. And you're right, I have had a really fabulous career in the municipal area. I've spent about the first 20 years being a financial advisor to at least half of Connecticut's cities and towns. Took a short break, like you just mentioned, to work for the state on the oversight panel for 3 really large communities, distressed communities who were facing significant problems. And
which is what we were looking at, just not to interrupt you, but we were looking at in New Britain when I first took over as mayor in 2013. Everyone was talking about, oh, is the city going to file for bankruptcy? Are you going to turn the keys over to the state? We were going back and forth with what happens when you do that, and you were part of some of those boards.
Absolutely. Same situation.
Right.
At the time, it was a little more desperate than New Britain was.
Yeah.
In each of those communities' circumstances, they were not able to pay payroll and only came forward a few weeks before those payrolls were due. They also didn't have the ability to issue debt at that time.
Which luckily we were able to get out of here.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Although, what other cities or towns did you work in? West Haven was most notable. I know there were
West
a couple
Haven,
others.
Bridgeport, Waterbury,
Okay.
and a little community called the Borough of Jewett City, which lies in Griswold, Connecticut.
Now that's way out on the Rhode Island.
Way, way out there.
Right,
Yep,
almost
yep.
kind of like towards the casinos.
Absolutely.
Notice how I know that one. I think it's been. Well, sorry. Anything else you want to mention about your career before I get
no,
into
I'm good.
No, okay, all right, good. I know we've been talking a lot in the newspapers and on the news. All we've been seeing is the state budget, and that's on everybody's mind, and particularly here in City Hall and in city halls all across the state. We're reliant on state funding, especially when you're a city like New Britain. I mean, what are some of the factors that you think, with your experiences, are contributing to the state's fiscal crisis? And I guess, how's that affecting us here in New Britain?
Yeah, it's a really scary time here in Connecticut. This is not something new. This has been going on for, the past decade. I really think a lot has to do with the lack of revenue coming in. The unsustainable contracts that the state of Connecticut has put together, the unsustainable pension benefits, very rich plans.
Yeah.
The governor's got
his hands full.
He's got his hands full. He's got his hands full. And with a projected $2 to $3 billion deficit in fiscal year 17 and 18 coming up, I don't think he has any choice but to make some serious structural changes.
Yeah, and I guess the unfortunate reality is that here in New Britain, we're reliant on state funds, right?
Absolutely, a very large percent.
Which is scary. I mean, do you have a number off the top of your head?
I think we're 40–45% reliant on state funds, and the thing that's even more scary is because the state right now doesn't have a budget, and neither side has anything really concrete. We keep hearing over and over again that funding for municipalities will be cut significantly.
Yeah.
Never mind this year, puts the pressure on all cities and towns to put together a budget without those numbers.
Right, and
it's pretty tough.
That's what's made it extremely difficult for us too, as we've been going through our budget process, which was long and arduous and still going on now. And Lori went through that entire process with me. You know, we put together a budget team, and you have a great staff upstairs in the finance department that helped extensively with putting our budget together. But the things that make it most difficult for us are just the unknown factors.
Absolutely.
I mean, a budget is, let's face it, it's your best guess or your best estimate on future projections for the year. But what we don't know simply, and what's affecting us in our future projections, is how much is that municipal aid going to cut, and how do we make up for that on the back end?
And it's such a moving target. We tried to budget very conservatively for this year, and looking out in the following years, it's going to be even tougher. Yeah. I think what some of your viewers may not realize is that almost 50% of real property in the city of New Britain is tax exempt, which means it doesn't get added to the net taxable grand list. So the city is heavily reliant on personal property taxes to fill the gap.
For a lot of those properties that are tax exempt, those are your churches, your nonprofits, your schools, hospitals. I mean, you have to think about how many amenities we have in New Britain that we love to have close by. You know, Hospital for Special Care, Hospital of Central Connecticut now has 2 large campuses in town, with not just the one on Grand Street, but the one on North Mountain Road too. You know, it's all of those properties, they don't pay taxes. So when half of your properties aren't paying in, but we're having to pay out for all those services, it makes it really difficult for us. So we rely on payment in lieu of taxes, or pilot, which you read about that in the newspapers. We rely on that from the state, which they're saying that they're going to cut as well.
Right.
So,
and that's a significant amount for the city of New Britain. You know, how are you going to make that up?
Right. So we need to find more taxable properties, which we've been doing, and we've seen growth in the grand list, right? So this is the 3rd year in a row that we've seen growth in the grand list. The unfortunate part is that it's just not enough. It's not enough. So even though we've seen $1 million worth of added revenue with growth with, businesses like Costco or, Ad Arrow or Polymer, we need to find, triple that amount on an annual basis just to keep up with.
And it's tough, New Britain being so land poor right now.
Correct. We are extremely land poor, and the land that we do have is old factory sites that cost twice as much money to clean up. But so all of those factors at the state made it difficult when we were crafting our city budget. And so I presented my budget to the city council on April 13th, I think it was. So I don't know if you want to explain to our viewers, like, what's the process from here? So what does the budget do now? Where does it go?
The process from here is that council meets several times, both sides and in conjunction with each other, and they take a look to see where they can cut, where they might want to add back, and they need to present a budget back by June 8th, I believe.
Yes. So if you didn't have an opportunity to come out during the public hearings that we've already had on the budget, which we've had numerous, the council had a public hearing, I had open office hours, you still get a chance to come out and speak at public hearings throughout the committee process.
Absolutely.
If you are interested in kind of, giving your 2 cents to the council on what you think that they could change or cut back on. I mean, we should talk a little bit about what the proposal entails. I know there's been a lot of people talking about the small tax increase that was in there and why that had to happen, but it's a little confusing when you're trying to explain it because of the car tax decrease.
Right.
So I don't know if you want to take your best shot at explaining that to our viewers.
Oh, all right. So the state in its infinite wisdom decided to tax motor vehicles not at the 49 mill rate for the city of New Britain, but at a 32 mill rate. And correct me if I got that number wrong, but at a 32 mill rate, with the expectation that they would be making the city whole for the gap there. That too is one of those areas where they have indicated they are going to send us the reimbursement, but that's not in any one of the budgets. It's about a $5 million gap.
I was going to ask how much it was. Yeah. So even though the individual taxpayer will see a savings if they own a car. So you will see, if on your car, you will see a decrease in your taxes.
Right.
You'll see a small increase on your home.
Correct.
What's that amount?
probably less than $100, I would say, for the average taxpayer.
Yeah.
When we ran the numbers and we used you as an example, you were actually an anomaly where
I pay more.
she's going to pay $98 more.
I think it was
taxes.
75. I actually think it was less than that.
Oh, there you go. So.
We equated it out. So for 6 cents a day, I'm paying extra in taxes this year. For 6 cents a day, we are maintaining the same level of services that we had
Absolutely.
in the last year.
Your snow's going to get plowed. Your garbage is going to get picked up.
Yeah, you're not going to. I think what we do when we go through the budget is we don't want the average taxpayer to see or feel an impact on the day-to-day services of the city. And I think that's what we really tried to get at this year. But it was complicated by so many different factors.
Right.
The car tax is just, it's very confusing to factor in. I mean, we got it under control. Don't worry. I mean, we'll figure it out. But I think for the average person or the average taxpayer, it'll be confusing for them as well.
I agree. It'll be either level or they'll see a slight savings.
Yeah, except for me.
Except for you.
I only have one car. If you have more than one vehicle, you're absolutely going to see a savings.
Absolutely.
So a lot of we took average taxpayer examples. So, I mean, we used me, but I didn't work out very well. But we used a couple other employees at City Hall, and we calculated out what they would save. And actually, the amount of money they'd save on the car tax surpassed the amount of additional money
Property
they'd have
taxes,
to pay on their property on the home. So when you net it all out, it's maybe a couple bucks.
Couple of bucks.
Yeah, and you know, I can't say it's nice that we can do that, but I mean, nobody likes a property tax increase. No one likes tax increases.
Well, when you think of all the infrastructure improvements that the city is going through and that you're putting forth, you know, 6 cents a day for clean roads and safe parks, and
I think it's worth it.
I think it's worth it.
I think so too. But you know, and we always talked about in the future moving forward, you know, we have to get into this. We do have to realize that our costs of living go up constantly. And it's not just, you know, employees, and it's just cost of services all over. And we have to accommodate that. And, you know, one thing that I made very adamant when we were going through the budget is there's no gimmicks, there's no one-shot revenues, there's no BS in the budget, for lack of a better term. And I'm really proud of that because, and you know, it's really easy to, I guess, make things up, right? I mean, we've seen what happens to budgets in the city of New Britain when people, you know, overinflate revenues just to try to make the numbers work. And I'm really proud of what we did.
That won't be happening here in this department ever.
No. Which is, you know, and there's a lot of other changes and things that you've been doing in the office too. I mean, I just want to commend you for that. I don't know if you want to talk about anything that's been happening in terms of software upgrades or anything new things that you're using to make our finance world easier here.
It's probably not sexy to the viewers, but we're doing things to create efficiencies, which in the end creates savings. Yeah. And that may not happen today, but in the future. And one of the things that we're doing is the city right now has an abundance of different credit cards for different vendors. So we're creating and instituting a purchasing card program where all department heads in your office will have one MasterCard.
Yep. For all the purchases.
For all the purchases.
To keep everything in line.
So we won't have to have one for Home Depot and one for Costco and one for, you know, wherever people shop.
And then we keep track on what we're spending or
absolutely,
putting on
absolutely. It keeps people accountable.
Right. Well, Lori, I want to thank you very much for coming on. I don't know if there's anything else you want to add before we go. No? Hey, it's been a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. I want to welcome you aboard, welcome you to City Hall, too. I know you've been here for a couple months now, but it was certainly trial by fire with Lori starting and then immediately getting thrown into the budget process, which wasn't easy, but I have to give you...
It feels like I've been here forever already.
I want to give you a lot of credit. You did an awesome job, and it's really nice for me to have somebody to rely on, too, in the finance department that I know takes the job extremely seriously and is doing a fantastic job.
Oh,
so,
thank you. I have a great team to work with.
On behalf of everybody watching and all of our taxpayers, too. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks. Before we close for today, there's a few events that we have going on in the city during the month of May that I'd like to share with all of you. The Greater New Britain Arts Alliance is hosting its annual meeting on May 4th at the Hole in the Wall Theater located at 116 Main Street. Refreshments and networking will happen from 5 to 6, while the program begins at 6 p.m. Several local individuals and organizations will be honored for their contributions to New Britain arts scene. That's my birthday, so I will not be there, but I am sending our Poet Laureate, Mike and Chief Peterson, to give remarks on my behalf. New Britain High School's Music Mania takes place on May 6th at the high school's auditorium. This event features all of our extremely talented musicians in our high school, including choirs, bands, orchestras, and other small acts. Tickets are only $5, and you can go online and purchase those at nbhsshows.org. First Friday at the New Britain Museum of American Art takes place on Friday, May 6th. That's from 5:30 to 8. Of course, there's plenty of food, music, drink tastings, guided art discussions, crafts for sale, and more. Tickets are only $10 for members of the museum. The Connecticut Race in the Park will be held on Saturday, May 7th at Walnut Hill. All of the money raised during this event goes towards the Connecticut Breast Health Initiative, and you can register online at www.ctbhi.org. Opening day for our community gardens, which are located at 145 Chapman Street and 20 Lawler Street, are on Saturday, May 14th. Applications for a plot are available in our Community Services Department. You can give them a call at 826-3366. Bike to Work Day is Friday, May 20th, and will be in Central Park between 7 and 8:30 a.m. to meet up with area workers and bikers, enjoy a complimentary breakfast, and more. If you're interested in Bike to Work Day on May 20th, you can visit bikenewbritain.org for more details. I would like to give a big thank you to veteran Ed Santos and the New Britain Commission on the Arts. There's going to be a reception for a new Veterans Art exhibit on the second floor of City Hall. That's going to be on May 25th from 5 to 7 p.m., which is just prior to the start of the council meeting. Highly recommend coming to check it out. You will certainly be pleased. Our Memorial Day ceremonies, speaking of veterans, will begin on Thursday, May 26th with a service at Fairview Cemetery that starts promptly at 6 p.m. Our other services are going to be on Monday, May 30th. The Memorial Day Parade, of course, is also on Monday, May 30th, starting at 6 p.m. And as you all know, it does begin at the top of Broad Street and makes it all the way down to the courthouse. So come out and join us on Monday, May 30th, starting at 6 for the Memorial Day Parade. And last but not least, I would like to encourage all of you to come check out a New Britain Bees game at New Britain Stadium. There are several special game days coming up, including a Polish Heritage Night on May 14th. If you're interested in purchasing tickets or checking out the schedule, you can visit them online at nbbees.com, where you can get tickets, you can see the schedule, you can see all of the exciting events that they have coming up. I was there on opening day, and it was quite the sight to see. There were so many people that were there supporting our new local home team, and I certainly hope that you will do the same. So unfortunately, that's about all the time we have for today. I want to thank my guest, our Finance Director, Lori Granato, for coming on to tell us a little bit about herself and hopefully give you a little bit of an insight on the Finance Department of right here in City Hall. I want to thank all of you for watching and direct you to the bottom of the screen for our website, our office number, and many other ways to get more information regarding the show, or maybe just to talk about the issues that might affect you. I certainly hope to see you around and see you back next month for another edition of Around New Britain with Mayor Stewart.